Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Xah Show. Today is July 12th, 2019, 4 o'clock p.m. San Francisco time. And not ready yet, so let me prepare. Let me tell people that I'm live. Okay, start now. It's hot here today. I just took a shower, and this is a fantastic song. Okay, I'm gonna talk. I don't have a topic today. Today's topic is random. Okay, so let me start. Tell people to start now. And this is Mastodon. Mastodon has been kind of, it's like fringe. It's dying. All the open source idiots. They think this is gonna, they think this is going to take over Twitter. It's like they are thinking Linux is going to wipe out Microsoft from like 20 years ago. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because not because open source doesn't have the force, or Free Software Foundation doesn't have a force, but rather because these open source or free software fanatics are idiots. For example, Mastodon. Like these people, I mean, maybe it's because of the young people, the generation, like human animals, like human. Good morning, Danielle Langlois. How are you doing? So I was saying, the Linux people, free software or open source fanatics, they are not. They are. It's almost like they will never ever be successful. What they want. So what do they want? In general, they want a society where people have power. Every small people. It's like democracy. Small people have power. Software, like, we are not controlled by big corporations, and everyone is good people. We share what we have, like software. That is the essence. That's kind of the essence of the free software or open source, the tenet, the force behind them. It's not the force, but it's the ideal. It's the heart of the ideology behind them. you know so that we will have a society where everyone is good. We share stuff. We share, in particular, software. In software, Free Software Foundation and open source, they are about software, so we share resources. And Linux, it's free open source software, operating system, so we can all share. We don't have to be slaves of corporation, like Google or Microsoft, or Apple, where they do whatever they want. They do bad things, such as, when Apple, for example, when they have a new phone coming out, they intentionally they have software to make your phone slower, so it goads you into buying the latest, another phone, things like that. And Microsoft, they do things. They sell, and Google, Facebook, they sell your data. Even if you turn on all the privacy controls, they say, I don't want my data to be gathered, but they do it anyway, illegally. They can get away with it because they are more powerful. And these days, these big corporations they are trumpeting open source because it benefits them. But then you have this bunch of idiotic fucks, open source and free software fanatics. They are singing open source every day for the benefit of the corporations. Exactly the opposite of what they want. So I was saying, like Mastodon. We were looking at Mastodon. It's trumpeted, in its son, it's supposed to be, all the geeks saying, oh, this is great, this is gonna, wipe out Twitter. This is gonna, finally, the power, the information is to the people, this is distributed. Yeah, same old story. These idiots, they never. So I was saying, they never going to get anywhere. This Linux, that, like, all you guys, okay. Uh, all these, the essential goals of these free software or open source, I support. I want that as well. Power to people. So you have, each person have, some power. It's all together. Like, there's no one centralized power that controls everything. Tell you what to do. So I want that as well. But so what I'm saying is that, but this Linux, this open source, typical open source and free software fanatics, they are just idiotic in so many aspects that, so I'm saying that they will never, almost never get near, even close to the situation where the software, for example, is not centralized by these giant corporations. In fact, these days it's worse. It's so they, it's so it's like we are, let's predict the future, what will happen after 10 years. Go sing your songs about open source. Go sing your free software songs. This has been happening in the past 20 years, 20 or 30 years, depending on how you count. And I'm old enough, to have observed everything, from the beginning, from the beginning of open source in 1996 or so. And Free Software Foundations began in 1985 or something like that. So anyway, so if you are an open source fan, you think about the future. Let's say, think about in 10 years, will you get what you want? Your ideology, your thought, your enthusiasm for this. Oh, it must be open source, this or that. You think about after 10 years, what will happen? you know, it, if you ask me, it's gonna get worse if things keeping the way they are. So why does that happen? So why is that? I mean, obviously. So if you are open source, open source fan or Free Software Foundation fan, so you sing the songs every day about free software. You are a fanatic. So why does the society, why does it has no effect, or rather reverse effect? So why does this happen? So in my opinion, this happens because because you are an idiot. Okay, well, seriously, because when you want something to happen, society, it's in a sense, it's complex. Okay, it's not just because you want to push something ideology, you chant about something every day, things will go your way. It's not like that. You have to, in a sense, some people say, you have to know realities. It's not whatever you say. Hey, good morning, George. Are you the George using stuff like keys? So anyway, so I was ranting about Free Software Foundation and open source, the fanatic, as those fanatics. So because we were looking at Mastodon, what Mastodon is, for those of you who don't know, Mastodon is, it's like Twitter. Okay, it's technically it's called microblog. It's like Twitter. So I have my account here. I tweet every day since Mastodon. I have an account since like 3 years ago. So about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, Mastodon. Someone created, some open source idiot, and he is actually the millennial generation. He is actually, he created the Mastodon, and there are quite a few before Mastodon. So anyway, back to Mastodon. So what is it? It's a microblogging software, and it's distributed, so it's not centralized control, meaning that each one person can run a server. For example, I'm on this server. By the way, if you want to get on Mastodon, I recommend this server. So this server, mstdn.io. So you can see this server is in France, and so why this one? Because they do not do any censorship. They don't do any censorship. So anyway, Mastodon began like 3 years ago, and all the left, millennials, or they think, oh, this is finally this is this is a platform to get away from the. Anyway, it's getting political. They are talking about certain political party in Germany. They think Mastodon is a new platform to get away from that, and and that's just a giant lie. In fact, Mastodon was is oh, I'm getting into this topic. It's not like that at all. But anyway, so then I have a lot followers and also friends. Like I follow like many of them, a lot of them, huge amount, like more majority of them are all, of course they are all open source fans, open source whatever. um, and so whenever I have I bitch about open source, many of them don't agree, of course. Sometimes they'll like retort, oh yeah, but Linux is great, and this and that. I cannot take that. I cannot tolerate that. It doesn't matter if you are following me, okay, a friend or not. I put out my opinions, what I believe is true. If that is truly, I truly believe it, I all things considered, if I take that to be true. And so the way I think about most of these open source fanatics, okay, the extreme part of it, them open source or free software fanatics, they are like flat earth believers. That is my opinion. So whenever they retort, I shoot back right away. Like I can type non-stop. Like it happens a few times with this guy Jeremiah. Okay, he's a friend. He is a he also actually he knows Lisp and Mathematica. So in this, so every time my followers, sometimes I tweet bad things about open source or against Linux, then they will retort. Then I retort right away, and of course often they will respond right away too. So we start to argue, like a flame war. But I'm relentless. Like if you want to argue with me, you lose. You have no chance. I type faster than you, and I have 20 years of uh, rants fighting with this. What the fuck, Firefox? Fuck Firefox. Firefox, they donated money to Antifa. They are dying, and they are killed by Google. And Google is doing these devious things every day to wipe out Firefox, and also the Microsoft browser. And now Firefox is like, oh, you've got the latest browser, now get the rest of fuck Firefox. They want to register. They want you to register an account, so that they can get info from you and they can sell your data. Fuck Firefox. And if you don't know, by the way, the Firefox guys, they donated money. Yeah, I mean, they had several disasters in the past few years, and one of them is that they donated money to Antifa. Okay, this violent group. And you can, if you want to know, just go to YouTube and search for Firefox Antifa, donate to Antifa. But actually, today, since about a month ago, you go to YouTube, you cannot find, you search, it's heavily censored. You cannot find, anything anymore. I'm not sure you can even find that. For example, let's try it. Let's go to youtube.com. Okay. Oh, I digressed so much. So what was my topic before? Um, it's a bit hot. I actually, because I have my doors closed. and the sun is shining in, so there is some greenhouse effect, I guess. So that's why I'm topless. It will have more effect if I'm a girl. Sometimes you see girls, they play piano on YouTube. In Carnage Hall or this place. The girls play piano, and it's like they are naked, they are topless, but actually they are wearing. Women has this. How do you call it? Toplet. It's like um, how do you call that? It's like a formal dress, but they start to cover only in the beginning of their breast. So it almost looks like they are topless. So strapless, yes, that's the right word. Firefox. So let's search for Firefox. Donate Antifa. It was big news. Okay, you see, Antifa. Okay, let's see if we can still find it. No, it's gone. Yeah, you see, these are not should not be the results. Team for the fuck Google. So these days you cannot. There. Okay, so finally we found one. Mozilla funding Antifa, anarcho-communists rise up, and there are several videos. So this happened 1 year ago. I thought it's like almost 2 years ago now. Wait. So yeah, Firefox is it's oops. Hold on a second. Vox. So the Vox is one of the social justice fake news every day. Extreme. Vox is one of the extreme social justice lie. Lie every day. Lie that you can verify. And this guy fuckhead. Okay. I don't know if they lie. They lie all the time. They rely on the fact that most people do not spend time to dig into information, so they can all these Guardian, New York Times, Vox, Vice, they they just like fake news every day. Fox News on the other hand is the right wing. You could say it's biased against from the right wing, but Fox is thriving. Like like right now, all the CNN, all the basically many or most of the left wing, the social media. I mean the media, the mainstream media. They lost viewership, dramatically, and Firefox is the most popular uh, now. So anyway, why? So I was talking about, let's close that. So I was talking about Firefox. Anyway, we were talking about um, Mastodon. I just happened to be on Mastodon because random BuzzFeed feed. Yes, BuzzFeed is also one of the number one fake news. So the number one fake news: New York Times, BuzzFeed, the Vice, the company Vice or whatever, the motherboard, and AJ Plus, something like AJ Plus. You can see they spread like you can verify like each incident, whatever. Every day on Twitter there are anchor every day, big and small incidents every day you can look into. And they and in general it just typically it's a left gang, the gangster. And anyway, so yeah, I was ranting about against the open source free software fanatics. So we were talking about Mastodon. So Mastodon is this microblogging software. It's it's distributed, so it's not centralized. and all the people there is like, oh please, let's go to Mastodon, so it's not controlled by Twitter. These open source free software fantasy, dreaming fantasy idiots, these are fuckheads, idiots, because they make our life worse. They make their life their own. Like they have a goal. We have a goal. We want a better society. We want a better society. We want people to be good. We share power to the people. But the open source fuckheads and the free software, what they do every day is that they are harming that goal. They are making it far worse. They are making Google, Facebook, and Twitter more and more powerful by these open source fuckheads. So these people, the master, often they are geeks, okay, nerds, where my community, okay. So so they have these, they want these, but they tell people to go on to Mastodon, but but as I said, like if you look into 10 years, like imagine, try to be a futurist, picture the future, what will happen. So anyway, Mastodon, these people thinking that Mastodon is gonna take over Twitter. It's not happening. In fact, the Mastodon since 3 years ago, it's dwindled and dwindled. It's like, and Mastodon is not the only case. There are several before. There are GNU Social, okay, before, and GNU Social is right now it's connected to Mastodon. The GNU Social, there's another one. There are quite a few before, and these open source brainwashed fanatics, they don't see it. They don't see, they just like any average normal people, they get brainwashed into believing things, even things they want, but they don't get it. They don't see. And also, so why is Mastodon will not pick up? There are many reasons. Okay, part of the there are quite a lot of reasons, and part of the reason is the technology itself, the design of every aspect of a software, including Linux. They influence how popular it will become. Now, many tech geekers will think, oh, it's just software depends on how the technical quality it is. No, not that's not what how good it is. It's not that's not what what decides it's going to make it or break. But for example, let me give you some examples of the Mastodon idiocy. I'm not sure I should do that because there are so many. And I wasn't prepared to talk about this, but so I don't. So but for example, if I start to post something, I start to post a picture or something, I'll have examples and I can tell you. But without doing that, I wasn't prepared. I don't know what. So anyway, I was just mentioning about Mastodon. So this is Mastodon. Okay, so if you want to go to Mastodon, I recommend this instance, this mstdn.io. It's from France. Okay, they don't do censorship, And okay, so Mastodon has several problems, quite a lot of problems. First of all, it's insecure. These tech idiots, they think they think Mastodon is so secure. It's far more insecure than Twitter. And also, whatever you post your data, it's far more likely your password will be stolen. Okay, because first of all, Mastodon is distributed, meaning that any Joe can run an instance. I can run an instance, and you have no way to know that they are running the exact same software. The Mastodon, the open source one. I can modify it. People have done, all the instances. People, you can modify the code, and so when you register Mastodon, you type a password, they, whoever is running the server can know, potentially can know all your passwords, whatever your private messages. And by the way, there was also a bug. This happened about a year ago. Like when you private message someone, okay, let me private message someone who are not who are not sensitive about, like, I'm not going to do it, but let's say if you private message someone, okay, uh, you know, I, let's say something, I need to type at someone, and what's this stupid, this stupid interface, okay, that's one of the problem. It's a fucking CW, right? Your warnings. Oh yeah, that's another. Okay, here you see, you can choose to have. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? It's part of the screen covered. Okay. So yeah, you can say follow only direct. Yeah, direct message. That's like a private. So a year ago or two, that when you send a private message to someone, other instances can see all your private messages. That's what the fucking screw up. So I was flirting with a girl. Okay, let's say that. Okay, so I was flirting with a girl. So we wrote a thread of private messages. Then she told me, um, there's this Mastodon bug. What the fuck? So that's a problem. That's just one of the problem. Mastodon is, it's got lots of problems. All these open source anyway, and Linux anyway. The same thing with Linux. Um, okay, I was going to Mastodon here. I was going to type. I'm live on YouTube, but now I already ran it for how long? Let's see. Half an hour. So that's almost like a topic by today. That's So let me read. Let's see. Check out the. Let's check out the 2% of all the smartphones in the world run on Linux. 82% of all the smartphones in the world run on Linux. What? So do 9 of the top 10 public clouds. so, so what? So what? So what is the point? Yeah, Google Linux is popular on the server, especially on the server. It's almost like 90% or 100% are running Linux server, especially Google. Google began, but why? Not because Linux is, it's morality or free software foundation. No, not because that. Because why does Google began with Linux? Because it's free. There's a fucking free. You take away the free like free money. Okay, you take away the free money in free software foundation. All the Linux, all the open source will die within a day. You'll disappear on the face of Earth with a day. Fuck the Linux. Like the geeks, typically these elite hacker types fucks. They are like every day there's a, what's the phrase they say? Oh, free beer versus what was the phrase they say? Like when it comes to the word free, they have a phrase like it's not like beer, but it's what was the okay. I think in this video I've said fuck for 100 times, 10,000 times. Yeah. So Linux is running everywhere. So does it help us? Does it help individual powerless people like me or like you? Does it help us? It helped Google for sure. Does it? So what is the point about 99%? Let's say 90% of all the servers are Linux. Oh, all the servers are Linux. So did it help you? Did it help you fighting the giant evil Microsoft and Google? Did it? Okay, Danielle says seems to say something for open source design and enthusiastic supporters. Yeah, yeah. for it seems to say something for open source design. No, it doesn't seem that way to me. It seems to me Google, because Linux is open source and it's free, meaning money is that you don't have to pay. Therefore, Google choose Linux to run as their server, and they become this giant evil empire. Uh, and the enthusiastic supporters, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, sure, there are enthusiastic supporters. You guys, and counting me if you want to. But these, as I mentioned before, these people, we hackers, these kind of people are fringe. Like what percent of society are these people? Are us? 0.0001 or 0.01. Add another zero. Okay, that's us. So what you gonna do? Mastodon is crumbling, yes, and also isn't a standard open source project. What do you mean it's not a standard open source project? Good morning, greetings, Bartholomew JS. Strapless, yes. Good morning, Carlos. Are there? And George says, and they fired Brendan Ike. Yes, exactly. This social justice, they got problems. The Brendan Ike, the issue, I don't really, I'm following him now since like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So I saw his post every day. He's a very interesting guy. He's a nerd, okay? He's a nerd, okay? Now, you see, he's a great programmer, of course. He created JavaScript. And, back in 1995, and he's, JavaScript compiler. And, and, um, he's one of the great programmer. But I was saying, but he's a nerd, because most programmers, when they are that big, like Brenda Ike, he's running CTO of some companies. When they get old, like 50, 60, they of course they run a company, they become managers, or they are the founder of some companies, and they don't go online and talk about programming languages or which language is better, which should we like should we use a for loop, or should we use a least comprehension. They don't do that. When you are a programmer, when you become big, like the Java inventor, what's his name, Gosling, almost all of them, when you become big, you become manager, you stop coding, and also you don't, I mean, even if you still code, it's rather rare to find programmers become big and still coding. Like Richard Stallman, he haven't fucking coded for like 20 years, 10 years at least. He have no idea what's going on. Like he's posting question about what is Melpa. Why why people use Melpa. Richard Stallman. So anyway, Brendan is a very interesting guy because I follow him since 3 years ago. I wasn't following him before. I don't really know him, but I started to follow him because I want to support the anti-social justice fuck. Okay, so that's why I started to follow him, and I started to use the Brave browser, which is this one, which is a startup he created. I use Brave browser since like a year or two ago, and so I started to follow him. And anyway, he's an interesting nerd. He's a nerd type because every day he still go around talking about language design, like which way is better and things like that. Almost like go into arguments with people about JavaScript and stuff. Yeah, that's unusual. rather rare. Nerd. He's a nerd, and also I've seen, so since I started to follow him, I sometimes I watch video where he talk about Brave browser or some issues, uh, and he's a nerd. He's not someone, like today we have a lot of videos, of programmers, at Google I/O, whatever. They give presentations, and often they are very smooth. But Brendan he's not. He cannot give presentations. He's like stuttering all the time or whatever, or saying, talking about some topic for like 5 minutes, but you don't get what is his point. So Brendan Ike, that's my impression of him. So so he became famous because like 5 years ago or so, when that's the rise of the social justice scan. It's like it's very infuriating. So it's about the gay issue. Okay, the gay issues. So few like 10 years ago, Obama, Hillary Clinton, also Obama, they both opposed gay marriage, both of them. Like you can watch the YouTube. They talk about, oh, I don't support gay marriage and so on. For like most of their political career, you can watch lots of YouTube about them. They say it, as part of their campaign. So the gay issue, the gay marriage issue, that's an issue in society. So we have to decide. So what do you want? What should it be legal or not? That's a question. So we have this question in society, and people start to vote, and it so happens that I guess most states today, allow it. Says think it's good. It's allow it. So we vote. Like 5 years ago, people vote. Now, so gay is now like you can marry. Yeah, like basically essentially, let's put it bluntly, that's fucking in the ass. Fucking in the ass. It used to be illegal. It's sodomy. So, and now it's legal. You can like you can get a certificate for fucking in the ass. That's called marriage. But anyway, so opinion. What about the opinions? Like, what do you think? So what I think, I don't really have a strong opinion about this particular, because these many issues in society, there's no right answers. I'm not gay. Okay, I'm not gay, by the way, and I tend to have I tend to have a lot of gay following me. Okay, and especially of course when I was younger, there's all these gays, hating me. Anyway, so as far as marriage goes, I don't really even, the marriage itself between man and woman is that itself is, not necessarily not absolutely a necessary thing. Like, why do you want marriage? First of all, you just two people. Like, think about human as animals. Like 2,000 years ago, you see two lions get together. Do they say, oh, let's get married? No, they don't fucking want a marriage. The marriage, that's a social construct. You have marriage society. You need a certificate. You get a certificate. Oh, you graduate from this university, so now you are knowledgeable. You need a certificate. That's what degrees are for. Literally, that's what degrees are for. All these certificate, certify you are a doctor or a lawyer, whatever. So marriage is a similar thing. It's came out of the society. You two are wed. Like, there might be good reasons why marriage developed. There might, because societies, if you are a sociologist, you study how society forms. There could be good reasons, so that essentially you keep the society thrive and peaceful and things like that. So anyway, when to come to marriage, my own opinion is that I don't think it's really actually that necessary between man, women, woman first of all. So when it comes to gay marriage, gay, okay, you wanna fuck in the ass. My take is, okay, do whatever you want, okay. And but then you want a marriage, okay, should it be legal or not? I don't have a strong opinion on that, okay. So anyway, so 5 years ago we have this social issue, people decide. Then these fuckheads, these social justice kind fuckheads, they seems to dig up, some donations or whatever, from the Brandon Ike guys. He donated to an organization, something like that, that opposes the gay marriage. Okay, it's perfectly fine. Different people have different opinions. You have different political parties. We need to decide this issue. So some are against, some are for. And they asked for donations. All the politicians asked for donations. So he put his 2 cents or whatever his money. He support. He does not support the idea. Then people dig him up. So that then this social justice can fuckheads. They want to say that he's a bad guy. They use certain words I don't want to mention. So that's not good. That's like a criminal. That's fuckheads of society do that. So that's why I don't like the social justice guy. And this and they become so powerful. There's this, I think there's I remember, I haven't been reading that news back then. That's when the social justice can just like they started. And so there was this the OK Cupid. There's this, apparently there is this website OK Cupid for mating, for dating, get men and women, or today, whatever non-binary you are, gays or queers or whatever, so dating website. So this OK Cupid, they have a founder, they so he is one of the guy who started to create a problem, blame the Brendan Ike guy. And but Brendan Ike, because no yeah, the issue was because Brendan Ike, Mozilla was looking for a uh, new CEO, and Brendan Ike, people voted him up. Then the all the this issue broke out. So I think then Brendan Ike resigned. He just resigned by himself. He just he's not. I don't think, I'm not sure he's actually. I mean, in a sense, he's forced out, but I don't think it's actually. Yeah, I don't know the detail. I'm thinking that if he wanted, he could have stayed. But anyway, I think he just resigned. He decided he don't want it. So FMS, good morning. I'm afraid there are so many fucks in this video. I'm afraid this video is gonna be banned. So I'm thinking maybe I'll delete it. After. So Bartholomew says, if you are ever interested in supporting a video game company, but I recommend buying Kingdom Come Deliverance, because the developers at Warhorse Studio took a big stand against social justice madness. Okay, so that's if you are ever interested in supporting a video game company, Kingdom Come. So let's look it up. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Okay, Wikipedia. So let's go to Wikipedia first. I wish I could play games. I'm a gamer, not really. Well, I'm a gamer type. I play video games since 1980s when I was like 12, 10, like addictively. Like I'm such a guy that when I play a game, it happens, throughout my life, 20s and up to, when I play a game, I would stop eating. I will finish the game, like, continue play from the moment I wake up to the, until I sleep and wake up, play again until until I finished, past the final stage or something. So I'm kind of like that. But it so happens that I've never actually played any much of the modern, 3D video games, like, the 3D graphics with 3D graphics, except Second Life. Second Life is rather a different story. I talked about Second Life in my previous video, like a month or two or three ago. If you are interested, you can go watch that. Second Life, yeah, Second Life. So it's a virtual world. It's very interesting things going on. So anyway, Kingdom Come Deliverance is a action role-playing video game developed by Warhorse Studios. Okay, good to know. Okay, so anyway, so about the social justice situation. Okay, society changes. They things come and go. Sometimes it's, I don't think it's gonna be forever. But we I don't know for sure what will happen. Let's say in five years, like let's say 2025, 2025. In 5 years, it's interesting to think about what will happen. Will the social justice situation, would it be still going on? Um, it's hard to say, really. I mean, like I try to think, say no, or I try to say no, maybe it'll get worse. But really, it's really unpredictable. Okay, it's like nobody can really say. I mean, you look at, for example, I follow a lot of people. You look at all the, let's call them influencers. Like people, commenting on the issue, including academicians, like professors, some anti, social justice professors, or anyway, you look at all the situation. I kind of have, and basically nobody knows. These things, what will happen in the future. Like really, nobody knows. And similarly for technology related issues such as AI. For example, AI. If you are a programmer, you are probably heavily interested. Because it's on the news every day. People think about, oh, what will happen to society? Will people get, everything is automated? Will AI become bad or things like that? And there are a lot of gurus or pundits. They will talk about. They will write articles. These AI experts. They will say, give their opinions, but actually, these experts, so-called experts, their opinion totally usually don't. They usually fail. Okay, you look at history. I think the opinions from these experts, they usually are further away uh, from from people without this specialized expertise. So anyway, So I was saying, nobody really know. This is hard to say about the future. So let's keep reading the comments. Hello, hello, Gabriel, Philip. How are you? I'm doing okay, I guess. Yeah. What's the topic of today's show? Today's show it's random, and it turns out to be a rant against open source and phonetics. Okay, the phonetic, open source and free software. We talked about Mastodon. We talked about Brendan Ike. We talked about social justice. The phenomenon social justice people. Uh, so Danielle says Richard Stallman and Melpa. I gather that Melpa is a bit delicate a subject since it's not GNU software. Yeah, you know he didn't say he did. He did. You don't know. Let me show you. Let's talk about that. Let me just show you. Let me turn this episode into now. Let's turn it into the rant against Richard Stallman. I have. I can show you, and you will be convinced. Just search for Xali Emacs. Okay, Xali Emacs. Go to my Emacs blog. Okay. Or you can just go to ergoemacs.org. So practical Emacs tutorial. Okay, go to blog. Actually, just go to I can. There are several ways to get to the article I'm going to show you, but I actually recently blogged about a series crimes of the Richard Stallman here. Okay, there's quite a lot over the past 10 or 20 years. So Emacs controversy, okay, there's quite a lot. Richard Stallman, you read it like a lot of people don't know. You have to like all the issues in society, like most people don't know. You have to like, but once you know, it's like what, oh my God, did he really actually did that or this or that? So anyway, so you go to Emacs, go to you can let me show you how to find the info like Ergo Emacs website. You go to Emacs miscellaneous. Okay, over here, click on that. Then let's turn on JavaScript so you can see the videos, the YouTube videos. Let's refresh. So what is this one? Oh, why Emacs list sucks? Yeah, big. That's like 2 hours rant. So this section Emacs controversy. So let's look at them one by one. This is going to take 1 hour, but let's just quickly go over them. So I show you where to look. You can look. Now, am I still alive? Okay. So maybe we talk about 10 more minutes, and that's it for today. Oh yeah. So the video, the title is even wrong. So okay. So Richard Stallman, Emacs tyrant. So this article. So what is this one about? Basically, there is a developer, very well known and very capable. And he has contributed to Emacs a lot. Daniel Kolosian. Okay, he works for Facebook, I think. Now it's hard to summarize, but basically, Richard Stallman, you should read it for yourself. Okay, read it. Just you read it offline. Okay, you know how to find it. So this is one incident. Basically, this one is hard to summarize. Let's go to the next one. So that one is 2018. This one is 2017. Richard Stallman pushing for GPL3, kicked out free software from free software platform. So you can read the details, but basically what happens is that Richard Stallman, he's always supporting for GPL. He wants software to be GPL. Basically, in the entire history of Richard Stallman, his idea is that he wants free software. He do not want open source. Okay, there's a big difference according to him. his idea of free software foundation is about ethics, about morality. He wants software to be. He wants people to share. The way he talk about is that the freedom. He want the freedom. Free software, the freedom for people to share software. Freedom is a key word. Okay, freedom. Now, open source. Open source began around 1996 by this Eric Raymond. Okay, actually yesterday or the day before this, I did a big rant about Eric Raymond. You can check on YouTube my past videos too. Yesterday or one day a day before that on ESR Eric Raymond. Anyway, Eric Raymond is one of the guy who began open source, the concept and the organization. It's an organization. And ever since there's a fight between free software, Richard Stallman, and open source, because uh, from Richard Stallman don't like he's very much against open source. He think it's it's bad. It's not his stuff. He think it's very bad because the open source, the open source began as a kind of a mediator, like to mediate between Richard Stallman's free software, the very strong morality based ideology. So open source, so companies may not want to use free software foundation stuff because they are afraid, we don't really want to get into, morality. We just, so open source, kind of ride on this situation. So they created open source, meaning that, so companies can do software, but just open source. They emphasize on the open source aspect. Every source code is open, so people can look at. So according to them, you will have fewer bugs because it's open. So anyway, that's open source. But these two camps do not agree with each other. They hate, especially Richard Stallman hates the open source. Okay, that's first thing. The Richard Stallman don't like open source. Okay, you can see a lot of videos where he talk about that. He got angry when people say he's open source. When people thank you for your contribution in open source, he get extremely angry. Now, okay, so since 1990s, the Richard Stallman always want free software. Now there are many licenses out there. Today you have MIT license. They went through several versions. MIT license. You have BSD license. Okay, from the Berkeley Unix BSD license. You have MIT license. You have X Windows license. You have then today there's a lot. Then you have Apache license. Then you have there's a Perl artistic fuck license, okay, from the Perl people. Anyway, so you have you have a lot of licenses. But back then, even back then, so to Richard Stallman, from his point of view, he clearly defines like two type of license. One group is GPL, or any license that's free software compatible. That's one group, okay. Any license that he does not belong to this group, he attacks all the time. He has fought with all a bunch, like a bunch of open source project, KDE in Linux, a bunch, a whole bunch of them. He been kicked out all these organizations. Anyway, so he like Free Software Foundation. He like the GPL and GPL compatible licenses. He anything else he doesn't like. He has lawyers and decide which one he like. If you go to Free Software Foundation, you can see a explicit list where which license he considered are good. Free software compatible. Not necessarily GPL compatible, but the idea is that certain licenses he, in his point of view, he think is compatible with the idea of free software, like freedom based. While on the other hand, there are a bunch of licenses, maybe open source or maybe something, but in his mind is not, it does not propel, does not advocate the freedom. His perspective of freedom for users, for computer users or programmers. So he opposed those, and he constantly, over the decades, he always fight them. Say bad things about them, tell people to switch, tell them to change, and he succeeded many times. Many times after a few years, all those organizations, they changed their wording in their license so that their license now becomes, Free Software Foundation approved. It happens many times. So anyway, Richard Stallman got this big deal about licenses. So all his life, in the past 30 years, he has, this is the big thing of what he does. He go around giving lectures. So it's my God, I'm getting into so much details that, and there are so many articles to go through. There's so many incidents that to go through. But anyway, let's finish talking about this one. So that, I'm already actually giving a history of the licenses with respect to Richard Stallman. So anyway, so all his life he fight about licenses. So in general, there are two group of licenses: Free Software Foundation approved and not. But those are typically also open source. So what I'm saying is that in the past, up to this happened in 2007. So all the years before 2017, he has fought against all these non-free software foundation approved licenses. Okay, as a principle, that's important, because whatever he say is always like based on his principle. He always talk about, that's a big thing. Freedom of users, principle based. But in 2017, he discovered Mailpad. Okay, Mailpad is a repository for all the Emacs software, Emacs packages. Mailpad. He actually discovered it because he doesn't know. He doesn't know what the fuck is Mailpad. There is a message like he said, like this is another one. He said, like, he asked people, what is Mailpad? Like, why are why are people using Mailpad? What do you let me show you where. Okay, here. Okay, I think it's this one. Okay, this is 2015 from Richard Stallman. Subject: read Emacs list future. Date: 2014. Okay. Okay, so 2014, he says, okay, someone says, once Emacs switches to Git, I would guess the percentage of people on this list who do not install Magic will shrink to a tiny number. Okay, this is this is on GNU Emacs dev list. It's a mailing list where the Emacs developers, it's a main communication among Emacs developers. So someone said that, once Emacs switched to Git, Emacs was not using Git. So once Emacs switched to Git, I would guess that percentage of people on this list who do not install Magic will shrink to a tiny number. And then Richard Stallman says, what is Magic? Why is it preferable to using VC? And why is it not in Emacs? That's what he says. Magic. I mean, if you are an Emacs user, if you are Emacs user and you pay attention to any blogs, you know what is Magic. Magic is one. It's the most popular, one of the top 5 most popular packages. Okay, you can see this chart. This chart is the number of software on Mailpad. Okay, I'm not going to get into details. I'm not to talk about what is Mailpad and what is not. But anyway, you get the sense what is going on. This and look at this email from Richard Stallman. So people answered thinking of Emacs as people trying to educate Richard Stallman. Trying to tell him what is Mailpad. what is Git, or what is the magic and what is Melpa. So the guy says, think of Emacs as an entire ecosystem. Most Emacs is already maintained independently from either Emacs core or GNU Alpha. So people are saying that vast majority of Emacs packages are actually not developed by the GNU Emacs people. They are developed by outsiders, where people put it on Melpa. Okay, then Richard Stallman says, "This is shocking statement. Is it really true?" This fuckheads, Richard Stallman, like he have no idea what's going on in the world. He's like like living in a cave. He has no idea. This is 2014. Okay, this is 2014. Someone is trying to explain what the Melpa. Like he doesn't know. Then there's another message. I'm not going, you can read it yourself. So this is 2014. Okay, let's go back to the other uh, incident about the GPL3, about how Richard Stallman kicked out free software. Richard Stallman uses his power to kick out free software, that software licensed by a license that he approves, free software. For his entire life, he fought for this kind of license, freedom software license. But he used his power to kick out free software from a free software platform, Melpa. This happened in 2007. So he tell people on Melpa to kick out people who are using GPL2. He want to tell people to use GPL3. Okay, so this includes my software. I Starfly keys and all my packages was using GPL2. GPL2 is a software license created by him and approved, sanctioned by him for his entire life. For his entire life, he's talking about certain moral issues. He's dividing software licenses, like open source, among open source, into two camps. One is those approved by his, like freedom oriented, like he approves, and the other camp is not freedom oriented, even though they are maybe public, like MIT or X from X Windows. He fought all his life. He make this distinction of licenses that support the freedom kind of aspect of users, in his opinion. But now he's kicking. He's not exactly. He's using his power to tell people, to actually force people to switch to GPL3. Anyway, that's a point. Okay, that is the situation. That's the incident. You can read the whole detail here. So we covered. So we are talking about, we are ranting against Richard Stallman. We covered two things. One thing is this incident in 2017, where he forced people to use GPL3. And we covered another incident in 2015, where he doesn't know what magic is. He doesn't know what Melpa is. Okay, two incidents. There are quite a lot. Okay, but I'm not going to go into. You can read it. There's and of course there are a lot. I haven't got the time to write it. Every time I, you know. So that's Richard Stallman. And he's. That's the situation. That's the situation we are living in. So okay, I'm keeping score. He didn't say what Melpa. Oh, but you get my point. Let's not get into technical details about what I actually said or what I claim. You get a general point of what he is like. You get my point. Whether you still agree with it or kind of what take your opinion, whatever it is right now. Um, Important thing for Emacs. By the way, Melpa, it is Richard. Melpa is a repository. It's late. You know, Melpa is like 5 or 10 years late. All the other software have have a all the open source software. Including Perl. Perl is the first one back in 1990s. Beginning with Perl, you begin to have this um, repository of software, all the packages or libraries, so people can all go there, find all the open source libraries for your language or whatever. It began with Perl in 1990s, and it's called CPAN. Like today, this has become history, and few people know it now. But if you search for CPAN, you'll still find like clues or traces of it. CPAN is the first, most popular for 20 years, that began this thing about open source repository, a centralized website where you can find all the um, libraries. So after CPAN, then Ruby had then all the Tech, for example, Donald Knuth, Tech and LaTeX, they have their stuff. What do you call it? TechPan or whatever. Do they call it? Let's try to find. But anyway, the technology. Okay, I don't think that's it. But the tech started to have it. CMC TechPan. Uh, I don't think that's the name. But anyway, so anyway, what I'm saying, so all the languages started to have that. Now today it's very common. For example, in JavaScript you have npm. They don't call it pan anymore. They don't call it like something something pan anymore. So you have npm for JavaScript. You have actually more than one. Almost every language has their. Ruby has their thing. Clojure has their thing. Java has their thing. And Emacs has Melpa. Okay, Melpa, actually there are few, but Melpa is the most popular. But anyway, so the point I was going to say is that Emacs, actually the idea of a package system, in order to have that, you need to have a system built in for packages, and it is Richard Stallman. He refused building a package system. Basically, he purposely refused it because back in 1990s, the Xemacs has the package structure. Back in 1990s, I can show you. Sorry, just you can just search my old articles about Xemacs. I have a couple of articles about that. Uh, my experience of using Emacs versus Xemacs. Anyway, so Richard Stallman, I don't have an article on that, but Richard Stallman intentionally, purposefully denied, refused to build a package within Emacs, a package system where people can just install libraries or packages. Xemacs had it back in 1990s, back in 1992 or something. Xemacs had it. Richard Stallman refused to have that system in Emacs. Without that, you cannot have Melpa. In order to have an open source repository, first of all, you need to have a package system in Emacs. Richard Stallman refused that. Why? Because, in his opinion, to have a package, when you have a package system where people can have all the open source packages, it detriments his score of the Free Software Foundation, of the not open source, because remember, he's against open source, because open source is only focused on open source. He doesn't want that. he wants people to focus on the kind of his idea of freedom in software, in sharing software. Therefore, anyway, so he explicitly turn if do not allow any package system. Where you can find my articles like the Emacs, let's say Emacs 23 news. I have I used to document all these news, so you can see somewhere new features. Okay, 2009. Sometimes either in Emacs 23 or in Emacs 24. I think it's in Emacs 24. Emacs began to have package systems. So let's you can check in one of these articles. Yeah, in Emacs 24. So in 2012, Emacs began to have a package system, which allows you to install packages, as a thing. Then it is also around this time, around once you have this, then you can have websites where that's package repositories like alpa and melpa. Yes, yeah. So this is in 2012. So it took Emacs uh, uh, almost 20 years for Richard Stallman to allow this to happen. He doesn't want it because it's a threat. It's a threat to his free software idea, and indeed it is. Then we see the Melpa situation, where the package are just thriving. All the Magic, all the package are thriving, but not the GNU. Then he started to kick people out. He used his power to force people onto GPL3 and stuff, and stuff. Okay, that's it for today. I guess it's one giant huge rant. So anyway, so it's hello brother ZLK, yes. So anyone have comments other than Daniel? Well, Daniel has comments. Keep commenting. Um, it's good. Don't worry. So anyone's got comments? So Bartholomew says, when will you do your next stream? Yeah, actually, that's a good question. So I don't know. People have always, my schedule. That's a problem because basically I'm basically like whenever I feel like that's no good. No for so that is no good for audience. That's also I because I've been writing blog for 20 years, so I also look into CEO and all that stuff, how to get popular. And one of the most important thing is that you must follow a schedule. Like, doesn't, you don't have to do it every day, but follow a schedule, stick to it. Like let's say every Friday, my new blogs come out or new video. You need to do that. That's one of the most important thing. But I don't do that, and I haven't. I tend to. I just don't do that. Instead, I write a lot every day, and also videos every day. But I tend not to follow a schedule because it's just like I tend not to follow a schedule because that's kind of half of it. Half of the reason it's hard. It's harder because once you have a schedule, like when you have a schedule, that means you have to plan. Then everything. So I tend to just free flow. Whenever and keep pumping information. So I don't know. So here's the interesting thing. So this is like when you talk about programming. This is like there is the issue when you're talking about streaming. Whenever there's information communication, whenever there's a flow of data. Okay, there is this issue of there's this kind of contradictory issue. One is called Uh, let's put let's say let's talk about that. When you have a pipe, when you have a stream, there's a data flow. Okay, my brain is uh tofu right now. Let's see. What is the term to measure the data flow, guys? So what are the uh we can find the terms by following this article, by going around the article a little bit, then we will find it. Stream processing, uh, data flow, streaming, message passing, process continuous function, data flow diagram, data stream, uh, packet flow, pipeline, pure data. Uh, hey Dick, uh, so this is actually interesting thing. Yeah, throughput. Okay, one of the term is called throughput. Okay, so my concern when I do video, when I write my blogs or when I do video, I kind of like conveniently think of my stuff as measured by throughput. Okay, uh, yeah, stupid. Throughput, through THROUGH. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay. I like to think of as throughput. Okay, there it is, throughput. That measures how much data you pump out during a period of time. So you can average it. And so throughput, is how much data you pump out. Now there is another rather critical concept of measuring flow. What is that, guys? Throughput, and which is time sensitive. uh, Good put and overhead and bandwidth. No, I don't think it's bandwidth. It's it's like how fast you need to. For example, for example, if I need to send you some data. I can save it into a hard disk and I can mail it to you by a truck, by UPS, for example. Maybe it'll take a day, but you got, let's say 1 terabyte of data. If you measure throughput, that's huge, 1 terabyte per day. But however, that's not instantaneous. You have to wait for the whole day. Then the whole data arrives like in an instant. On the other hand, if I stream it to you, for example, if I start to stream like right now, you get instantaneous. What is that? So that's another term. You don't want. Sometimes it's not throughput. It's not how much throughput you need, but rather um, bit rate, not bit rate, but so do you guys? I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about, but you just need someone to. Uh, I don't think Richard Stallman is lying. Yeah, but what? So yeah. So Danielle, so what are you saying? Richard Stallman, I don't think he's not the type of guy who would lie. He does not lie. and I do not think he's incompetent. So Danielle says, let's not jackals deriding him as incompetent. I'm not saying he's incompetent. He's very incompetent. He's very competent. But however, what I'm saying, like my rant against him in the past an hour or so, in the past 20 minutes is that he is out of touch. First of all, as a leader, you cannot be out of touch. When you are out of maybe you are too old, maybe you are too busy, whatever. You cannot be out of touch as a leader. You want to maybe pass it to someone else. Okay, when you are out of touch, you are not. You are incompetent. Yes. So, okay, in that sense, he is incompetent. He should be out. Okay, so he's out of touch. That's not all. That's just one of the things. Also, he is, his behavior for example, on that GPL, forcing people to use GPL 3 instead of GPL 2. That's immoral. Okay, by his own standards, by his lifelong behavior. That's immoral. That's not, in a sense, he's pushing people to specifically use GPL. Not just that, people are already using GPL, but he's pushing people on a project. Melpa, not his project. Melpa is started by all the people who are not particularly on the side of GNU Emacs or free software, specifically because the Melpa people, all the contributors, they are specifically not for free software foundations camp of software. That's why Melpa becomes so popular. But Richard Stallman are forcing people not just using GPL, but forcing people to use GPL 3. Anyway, I'm not going to argue the details. We were talking about throughput versus anyway, tomorrow. Okay, so sorry about that. To answer the question, deck waste. So tomorrow, I think let's do. So tomorrow, I will be. What's a good time for you? By the way, if you are still here, say it. Then that'll be tomorrow. I don't know what I'm time. So I'm thinking tomorrow same time. Like 3 o'clock San Francisco time. Uh, So anyway, I'm kind of getting tired, too. I'm gonna eat something to eat. So today is a long rant, a long, like, thought flow, random things about, yeah. So see you guys tomorrow. Um, yeah, it's a big long rant, and usually rant is fun. Usually. And people actually, it's kind of strange, but when you do a video or whatever, usually the more dramatic, you got more people want to watch it too. So that's not necessarily a good thing, but that's just the fact. That's why you see all the clickbaits, on the YouTube's, all the drama. But anyway, have a good day. Bye, bye, guys.